everybody, thanks for watching. Just a quick reminder that the server drive is still going on. We still need you guys' help with that. Not asking for a ton of money. We're not asking people to give out free money just to purchase the video that's available. Those proceeds will help us with the server. And we really need the servers. We really need, it's a lot going on. It's a lot coming up. And we're getting towards that time where we're really going to need the servers to move forward and to make everything, better. But you can see what's coming. And I'm telling you now, with Israel, it's a lot. We've got a video coming up on that. There's a lot that's going to happen out of this whole Israel thing. And there's a lot that's going to take place. And we got to be on top of that. They're already on top of it. They're already on top of information and videos going out. We've already received warnings about putting anything out on Israel. And yeah, it's a sensitive, touchy issue, and you're going to see the NFL and everybody coming out being touchy-feely about the whole thing. So be prepared for that. It's a big deal, and we know why. So video coming up on that. But again, we need the support for the servers. And yeah, I know a lot of people are not supporting or wanting to help because of waiting for books and flash drives. We sent out emails. I explained that multiple times to people what's going on. We just sent out a whole bunch of books and flash drives, so people will be receiving those this week. We sent out emails to everybody, explained everything, what's going on or what have you. I don't know what else to tell people. We're moving as quickly as possible, and we apologize for the delay, and we appreciate the patience and support on the whole thing. But don't let that deter you from supporting the server drive, because it benefits us all. And I appreciate everybody who supported so far. A lot of people supported, a lot of people donated money. It's a lot of money, and we need support for that. Again, I'm not, multi-crazy millionaire or anything like that. I explained before, yeah, my accounts were frozen by the IRS about a month ago. I've been working forward to getting those back, and it's a process. I also just had a baby girl, by the way, for those who know already. I posted the video on Instagram with a picture of her on Instagram. So just had a daughter, and it's a lot going on. It's a process, just getting through a bunch of stuff and having a baby on the way. So I'm not here begging for money or begging people for anything like that. I'm not in no way any type of scam artist or what have you. This is real shit, and we just need support for the servers, because the servers is a big deal. I don't understand why people want to be so petty. Even though we sent you emails, we explained what's going on. People want to be petty and still come in the comment section and make it the whole thing like it's a big conspiracy and all about them. If you received the email, you receive repeated responses, and we explained everything. I've explained everything. To come into the comment section and make it like it's a big conspiracy and we're trying to fraud everybody over books. It's just uncalled for. It's just crazy. But I appreciate those people who understand and support and been patient through the whole process. Really appreciate it. It's a lot going on. It's a lot about to happen. It's a lot coming up, and I really want to get it out and be able to protect that information and not have to deal with, it's people not getting emails. It's people not seeing the videos that I post. They're blocking a lot of shit. It's a lot going on. Servers are really going to be needed coming up, and it's a lot that's going to happen out of this Israel thing that I really want to get into. But I don't really want to post those videos. So what's probably going to happen is for Never Pay Again members, I'm probably going to do the video, but it's not going to be posted on Merkabah Academy. So it'll be posted on Podia for download. So that's how it's going to go. So you'll be able to download this Israel video coming up from Podia, the new video coming up. So I don't want to put it to stream on the site with it not being protected, especially this touchy-feely subject. Don't want to do that. It's going to be basically suicide. But it's a lot. Oh my God, it's deep. It's so much happening. Just paying attention to the policies that they're putting forward. And again, once again, we have an election coming up, and what's going to happen. What's coming. It's always war. It's always something ahead of an election. Every time you look at it with Obama, you look at it with Bush, coming into a new presidency or an election, presidential election, it's something major. So yeah, I want to make sure that get this information out and let everybody know what's taking place, and to just watch. You're going to see it all over the TV. What they're doing. Everybody's going to jump in on this. This is a big deal. I explained before about visiting the wall. I talked about this in previous videos, why that's important, and so much deep stuff that goes along with Israel, as you already know. So yeah, again, I want to thank everybody for their support, and everybody, the well wishes and the congratulations and all that. I really appreciate it, and thanks ahead of time for people who I haven't responded to. It's a big deal for me. I always wanted a daughter. Always wanted to really raise a family, raise a child. I was in the military when my son was born. So I was like in and out of his life, having to travel so much for the military. So I never really had that experience of being there, with a child and raising a child, from start to college and all that. So it's going to be, basically a dream come true for me, to be honest. And it's something I've been looking forward to. But yeah, appreciate the support and everything. And a lot coming up, a lot going on with the site. You've seen the new changes, new updates coming as well. Apps coming soon as we finish with the site. But yeah, let's get into this video. So for years, I've been talking about universal law, and I've been talking about how the powers that be have to operate under universal law. So if you don't know anything about astrology, if you don't study the planets and what the constellations are all about, then you're going to have to take my word for it and fact check later. But it's a lot of information, so I'm gonna get right into it. So understand, for argument's sake, if you want to do anything on this planet and you want it to work, if you want to do anything on this planet that's going to evolve or involve the collective energy of the planet, then you have to do so under universal law. So again, universal law, what is that? Universal law is you operating within the law of the universe involving the energies of the planet, the stars, the sun, and the moon, plain and simple. So if you're into astrology, then you understand different planets have different energies. You read horoscopes and talk about what this planet does, so on and so forth. We'll get into that. So in order for you to operate under universal law, you have to operate under the energy that the planets that are in your house involves. So understand, like when you are in a certain house, there are planets in that house. Those planets have different energies that are basically available to you while you are in that house. So you will be affected by the energies of this planet, everybody in a different way based upon your astrological sign or based upon your consciousness, if you understand. Because understand, no matter what, your consciousness will trump all if you understand the energies and you know how to act accordingly. So understand, again, in order for you to do anything involving the collective energy of this planet and having any type of success in what you are trying to do, you can only operate within universal law using the energies that is provided to you during a certain time or age involving the sun, the moon, the stars, well, the constellations, and the different planets. Okay, so understand that. So I want you to think about, the ancients, the ancestors, and how when we go back and look, we find so many different, carvings of the stars. We find stuff about the planets. They worship the sun, the moon, different constellations. The Bible talks about the heavens being in space. It talks about the heavens being, above. Everything is about space. Everything is about the heavens. So you have to look at the fact that the Egyptians aligned the pyramids with the stars on Orion's belt. We have to look at the 7 churches that's in Turkey that aligns with the stars, the 7 stars in the Pleiades. We have to look at all of these structures around the world that are aligned with constellations, planets, stars, the sun, the moon, so on and so forth. Everything, when you go back in antiquity and look, has to do with space. Plain and simple. There's no way around that. When you look at ancient Egypt, when you look at the Greek mythology, the Greek culture, remember, we're talking about Saturn. We're talking about all the moons of Saturn being Greek gods, and everything is involving the planet. The whole story about Zeus and Jupiter, everything is involving planets. And it's for a very, very important reason, because this is true energy. This is powers. Now, again, this is going to be weird and sound spooky to some of you, but it's going to make a lot of sense. You know how I do videos. So understand that part first. Everything was about the planets, and they grasped the concept that in order for you to have any type of success, you have to act during certain planets corresponding in the house you are in, meaning in the constellation you are in, or in the planetary, let's say, alignment with Earth you are in, and the energies that they provide. So understand, we have holidays, festivals, once a year, every year, to celebrate certain things. And this is what the ancients did as well. They had festivals, they had holidays to celebrate certain things, because back then they understood there is some kind of energy that you can get from this. And you got to think about it today. We look at it today, things like Christmas and these other holidays are simply symbolic to us. We dress up, we do whatever as a symbolic gesture to the holiday. But back then, it wasn't such a thing. You wasn't putting on a costume to impress people or give people a laugh. They did this stuff because they understood was real energy behind it. When we go back and look at the ancients, when we look at the powers that be during ancient times, all the wars they fought from, Kemet all the way up until, taking control of America, they won those wars, up until that point in time. So all the ancient wars we look at, they fought them, they won, they conquered so many different civilizations, and they were able to do so because they followed universal law. They followed the zodiac, plain and simple. So the zodiac is the key to universal law. The zodiac has the houses of God. The Bible always talks about the house of God, things in God's house, so on and so forth. And, my house has many mansions. This is about the houses that's on the cross of the zodiac. Each house has a different constellation. It represents a different astrological sign, and different planets will come in different houses and provide different energies to different people. And you have a choice as a collective to tap into that energy. So understand, and this will make sense. If you are at the head or controlling the collective energy on the planet, then you can decide whether the energy that you siphon from these planets or this planetary or universal energy is going to go towards something good or bad. That is what it's about. It's about choice, duality. So again, the Bible, as I said, it's all about duality. It's about choice and making a choice. So it's going to be whoever is ruling is going to decide, because we are all in a contract, in an agreement, and we are all agreeing to be under this government, these powers that be. We have given our energy to them without even really knowing. And there's only certain ways you can take energy back. And it's why they seem to always be winning at every step, because we are basically agreeing to let them represent us as an energy. So they are deciding how the energy is going to be used, and they have been using it in their favor for generations. So when you understand that, and again, as I said, it's going to sound a little bit spooky at first, but it's going to make sense. They are taking control of the collective energy that is provided to this planet for many different things, and they have been using it to build what they have built. So now, of course, we take it to the Bible, because the Bible is the key to all of this. It's giving you everything, as I always say. It is giving you the answers. And we're going to start with Moses. Moses represents Aries. He represents Aries. Aries, the ram. We see statues of Moses with the ram's horns holding the Ten Commandments. We know the ram represents Judaism. We see that the Jews blow the shofar. And Moses represents Aries. And we know that Aries is Mars. Aries in Greek is the god of war, and it's represented by Mars. Mars represents war. So understand that. So Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. And of course, it's all a metaphorical story. And, he gave them the laws. Remember, the Israelites went out. They went to war. They went conquering everybody, beating everybody, winning all those wars. But before that, Moses had to give them the laws. Now, these are basic laws of man, and these are laws of God. Now, a lot of the laws in the Ten Commandments is basic stuff. Thou shalt not kill, steal. This easy stuff we can remember. There are other laws that are laws of God that are different. So you got to remember what was taking place during this time and the symbology. Some of you guys may know, but I'm going to break it down real quick for those who don't, because it's really important to understand what this stuff is really talking about. Now remember, Moses came down from the mountain, and basically God told him to go down there because the Israelites was worshiping a different God. He goes down there and he sees them worshiping the bull calf, and he breaks, the Ten Commandments, the tablets. So, what was that about? Now it says here, Exodus 32, 1-4. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ear of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So the last part of that is the clue. How would Aaron know what gods brought them out of Egypt? He didn't see the God that brought him out of Egypt. He just said, here's a bull, worship this. You also have to think about, why would the people want to worship something? Do you understand? So you have to think about, as I said before, they worshiped things. They understood they had to worship, or basically channel the energy that was being presented to them during that specific time, in order to have success in whatever they was trying to do. So you had these people that's coming out of Egypt, or these people that's wandering, basically, trying to start a civilization, and they understand, unless they call on the energy that's available to them, which would be the God during this time, they are not going to have success in what they are trying to do. So understand what it's trying to say. That key is him saying that that's the God that brought him out of Egypt. So you have, Moses come down and sees what happened, and again he breaks the law. The key to this is the very first law. The first law that God gives is, you shall not have any other gods before me. Not that you shouldn't kill or steal. Do not have any other gods before me. You understand? That is the key. But think about it. How could it be any other gods before God? If this is the one true God, what God is before you? What are you talking about? If it's a God before you, then isn't that God over you? So why would God give a law that's saying you shouldn't worship any gods before me? So that is the key. So when you understand what's being said, it's talking about, of course, the zodiac. Aaron tells them, this is the God that brought you out of Egypt. And as I said, Moses represents Aries. So you guys understand, one, when they got to Mount Sinai, that represents the coming of the age of Aries. The age that they just left is called the Exodus. They were exiting, not just Egypt, but exiting the age of Taurus, the bull. So when Aaron says, this is the God that brought you out of Egypt, he's talking about the bull, Taurus, the bull, a constellation. You understand? So when God, the first commandment he says is, do not worship any gods before me. The God before him would be Taurus. So you got to understand, one, that when we're talking about the zodiac, when we're talking about, which would be the heavens and so on and so forth, the planets, those are gods. They're all gods. We understand this is why in Greek mythology, all the planets was gods. They all had powers and so on and so forth. They are all gods. This is what it's talking about. So you got to think about it. Do not have any gods before me. The reason why this is the most important and number one commandment is because you will not have any power worshiping any god before the God that's in the house that you are in. Understand? So they are now in the house of Aries. The planets that are in Aries during this time, or the constellations that are in Aries, or stars and so on and so forth that are in Aries or in that house at that time, is the power they can draw from. They could draw energy only from those. If you draw energy from any other planets or anything else before what's there, you will not have any success. So they wanted to make that important for you to understand. So important that God wrote on some tablets and, Moses broke them. I mean, just think about that. It's trying to stress how important it is to not be in worshiping the constellations or the energies that's before you, because that's breaking universal law, or the law of God. So easy to understand when you understand astrology. So you have to think about it. This was Taurus the bull. They are in Taurus when we get the Hebrews. When the Israelites come out and they're on their way, they're starting, they are in Taurus. So you guys seen, bullfights, what they say, Toro. This is where they get the Torah, the bull. It's talking about the start, the beginning of Judaism for the Hebrews. So Toro, Taurus, Torah, all same thing. So you have the Hebrews getting this knowledge from Moses. And now they have the understanding that, one, we have to follow these certain rules, which they're giving you the hint they already knew because they wanted to worship something. Just think about that. They just came out of there. They want to worship this God. If the God, you seen Moses part the sea. So obviously they understood there's some kind of power here or something going on. So they wanted to know what it was. They wanted to know what was giving them favor during this time. And hey, Aaron, you his man, give us the God that we're supposed to be worshiping so we can have success in what we are doing. So Moses breaks the tablet. We know the tablets go in the Ark of the Covenant. Remember, as I said, they were going around and beating everybody because they had the Ark of the Covenant. That was the source of their power. Now, as I said, you can only access certain power during certain times and ages, which they were in the age of Aries, and they were able to win because they was worshiping the power of the time or age they were in. So, big key is the Ark of the Covenant. Now, on top of the Ark, you have the two cherubims. And we know God spoke to them from the Ark, from between those two cherubims. Every time he spoke, it was clouds and lightning and thunder and so on and so forth that appeared. Now, they're giving you a description of, the Ark in the Bible, but you have to understand, argument's sake, the two cherubims represents the stars, Remember, Ezekiel, he had a vision about these cherubims, and you have to understand what it's talking about esoterically. So it says here, okay, so it's the previous post, explored the stacks of evidence which suggests that the vision of Ezekiel, one of the most important and most argued over passages of ancient Hebrew scripture, in which the prophet describes a whirlwind from the north and wheels within wheels and the likeness of four living creatures out of the midst of them, is in fact an esoteric description of the awesome celestial machinery which turns the heavens throughout the year, and that those four likenesses correspond to the zodiac sign governing the points of the two solstices, summer and winter, and the two equinoxes, spring and fall. I'm going to skip here. It says, however, in the 10th chapter of Ezekiel, the scripture text uses a different term to describe the subjects of this vision. In addition to talking about likenesses, the text reintroduces them, but this time in the midst of much description of cherubim, or cherubims in the Geneva 1599 or King James 1611 translations, while still referring to the four faces and turning wheels. Now, however, there are several verses referring to the carrying of burning coals in the hand, mainly in the hands of the cherubims' hands, which they are described as having under their wings. But again, this is referring to the stars. The cherubims represent stars. We're gonna make that point in a second. But understand, remember, Genesis 1:14 says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament. Understand, lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. This is astrology is talking about, clear as day. This is what they are supposed to follow. This is all important. It's leading up to everything. Just, be patient. So now we all know we find the Ark, or the real Ark, in Kemet. So we find where they stole the design for the Ark of the Covenant in Kemet. But on top of that Ark, we see Anubis. And Anubis is the key. So they're giving you, they specifically made sure they mention the description of the Ark of the Covenant and what's on top, being the cherubims. So when we go to Kemet and we see that Ark, but we don't see cherubims on top, naturally Anubis is the key. So now Anubis is the dog star. Anubis represents the dog star. He represents Canis, major, Canis minor.